Well, greetings and salutations, Series 7 test takers. This is the Series 7 Guru. I'm coming to you from my off-grid studio, getting our kicks on historic Route 66 with an explication request on order priority and municipal syndicates. Typically a broker dealer might have corporate finance. That's the department, men and women who raise money for corporations, and a lot of us have public finance, men and women who raise money for municipalities. There's 50,000 municipal issuers of securities with close to $4 trillion in debt outstanding. And we have under MSRB rules and guidelines what's called order priority. So let's talk about that. It's a once in a blue moon question every once in a while. I'll link to my video, Tips, Tricks, and Memory Aids, very popular. Somebody will say, why don't you have pro golfers don't miss? Or pretty girls date more, or pretty guys date more, or pretty girls drive Mercedes, or pretty guys drive Mercedes. Why is that memory aid not in your tips, tricks, and memory aids? I said, well, because it's rarely, if ever, seen. Once in a blue moon, it might show up. I think it's more of a legacy question from the old Series 7 than something that is currently tested. All right, but let's go over it. The process itself is more testable. So you should definitely know the bond buyer is widely read in the municipal market. If you're in public finance, you must subscribe to the bond buyer. One reason you must subscribe to the bond buyer, test question, is because that's where we find the notice of sale. If a municipal issuer is doing a competitive underwriting, they're going to say, attention, attention, investment bankers. And I might call you if you work public finance, let's say at Morgan Stanley. I work public finance at Wells Fargo Securities. And I call you and I say, hey, did you get the bond buyer? You said, well, I did. I said, well, would you like to join my syndicate? And they said, well, Dean, we're forming a competing syndicate. I said, ooh, say it ain't so. So various syndicates will be formed to bid on this competitive underwriting. The winner is the one who provides the issuer with the lowest net interest cost. Now, remember this relationship? The higher the price I bid, the lower the interest cost would be. So the syndicate that wins is the one that provides the lowest net interest cost. Now, there might be, for example, Franklin. Franklin is huge in the municipal market, Franklin Templeton funds. And they might call me, Wells Fargo Securities, and say, hey, Dean, I know you're probably putting in a bid for those $100 million worth of, California GOs, let's say. I say, yeah. And they say, if you win, we'd like the bonds. I shouldn't feel special because they're going to call the other people, the usual suspects, and put in an order. Pre-sale orders make sense gets filled first. And those were orders received before the syndicate was awarded the underwriting. So pre-sale comes first. This is order priority, and that's the purpose of the memory aid, by the way, is to know order priority. The most important thing to remember is that member orders come last. Why we don't trade ahead of customers. All right, so I get another call. Maybe it's I don't know, Franklin. No, we use Franklin Templeton. No, we did that. Fidelity. Fidelity's tax-free fund calls me and says, Dean, we would like some bonds. I say, who would you like to designate within the syndicate? There's Wells Fargo Securities. I'm the managing member or manager of the underwriting here of the syndicate. And you say, well, Dean, if I say Wells Fargo Securities and I think UBS, your fellow syndicate member, might be upset with me. And so I'll tell you what, just leave my order undesignated. Split the largesse from this order with the entire group. So the group order also knows on designated orders. They might also do that to make sure they are the front of the line in terms of getting bonds. So group order also known as a non-designated order. I get a call from T Row, and T Row says, hey, Dean, we would like some bonds. I say, who would you like to designate within the syndicate? And they say, Dean, we do business with UBS. Designate UBS. So that's where the customer actually directs the order to a member of the syndicate. And they're going to get credit for that. I say, hey, UBS, you might want to call T Row. They just designated you for this order. And then the most important thing is that member orders come last. The orders we want for our inventory, the bonds we want for our proprietary accounts, like our proprietary mutual funds, tax-free funds, our proprietary tax-free UITs, always come last. Now, again, you got to believe in human depravity, original sin on your test, and how do you get caught? Usually, somebody's going to turn you in. But Governor Florio of New Jersey would say to people in these syndicates, Did I tell you my nephew is in the public finance business? And we said, no, we didn't know that, Gov. He said, I'd like you to put my nephew, his firm into your syndicate and designate him for undesignated orders. And his nephew was making, millions of dollars being designated in these syndicates put into the syndicate by the governor. And as you can imagine, everybody got in trouble over this, right? Including the governor and his nephew. So now, as the manager of the syndicate, I can depart from this order priority, but if I do so, it's got to be in the best interest of the syndicate, the best interest of the syndicate. I got to be able to articulate that to you. So, anyways, hope that was helpful. Now, separate, very testable. This is just a little explication request, so I'm not going to get into the weeds here. But I will link to my underwriting munis. You should definitely know the difference between divided and undivided syndicates. If you know the components of the spread, the management fee, the additional takedown, the selling concession, the total takedown, you can find that in the video I'm going to link. So you should definitely know participants, and you should definitely know compensation. And I'll link to that video in tips, tricks, and memory aids for you. Okay, so remember, inch by inch, your Series 7 is a cinch, yard by yard, your Series 7 is hard, and I'll see you for the next explication request.